All right. So sit there and say, what a Nimrod. No, that dude's Nimrod. Way to go, Nimrod. I've always heard it. I've always said it. Used as to reference someone as a fool. But let's get where this story comes from and everything. So backing up, we in Genesis. And there's this dude, Nimrod, who is a descendant of Noah. You know, post-flood and everything, he's a descendant that comes through. But Nimrod's also in a time where the culture is going very much from a monotheistic to a polytheistic. In case anyone's confused, monotheistic, one God. Polytheistic, many gods. Mono, poly. Just make it easier. Now, he's going into this and he's jumping into growing in the social hierarchy. He's building a kingdom. And he's actually built a few. He built Babel, Erech, Akkad, Calneh, and Shinar. And he's climbing that ladder in the social cultural aspect and everything. And one of the traditions of the time, one of the main shows of power, of wealth, of ability, was building what was called a ziggurat. Now, these are like pyramids in a way. I'd say a pyramid mixed with like, what are they called? Cake tiers. Because it's like a block and a block and a block and a block and a block. And they're trying to build it as high as they can, saying that they're going to reach heaven. And Babel was built to be close to Marduk. That tower was built for that. Now, to also clear up any confusion, because this is something I've struggled with until I sat down, studied it, and learned it. In Hebrew, the translation is Babel. In Greek, Babylon. It's the same town and everything. It just has a small change in translation between Hebrew and Greek because that's how a lot of things ended up at that time. Now, also in this marks a big point on the language front because everyone understands the Tower of Babel as the time when the languages were mixed. They were confused. They were done in such way that God sat down and did this, and everyone's like, okay, now hold up, wow. Let back it up. So the first one that tried to climb their way into heaven, way on back and everything, was this dude named Lucifer. After he was cast out, he said, no, I'm going to build back up and I'm going to take it over. And God said, no, you ain't, bud. Sent him down to fiery, aka hell. Now, people follow what they emulate. Actual translation of Nimrod is rebellion. Doesn't necessarily mean rebellion against government, rebellion against the people. In this case, very seriously, Nimrod is the rebellion against God, and he even states he is a mighty hunter before God, which you can verify looking in Genesis chapter 6 and chapter 13, how that confirms the referencing of saying a mighty hunter before God is against God. So Nimrod's strait was honestly the first that I've noticed. Bible and everything saying that he is 100% going against God. He's going to do everything against and not be for him, actually be against him. And he's purposely going to do things to belittle the Lord. And again, that was something that was getting more common and everything in this time. Now, we get to this and everything where Nimrod's like, I'm going to build this ziggurat. I'm going to be the bestest and the baddest. I'm going to work on my kingdom and not God's kingdom because my kingdom matters, his don't. And God sits there. Of course, he's omnipresent. He sees everything. He knows everything. He's watching. He's like, all right. What you mean, all right? We all have the God-given right to choose. Point blank. You don't have to choose to follow God. You don't have to choose to do his ways. He gives you the ability to choose what you want to. You're not forced to do anything. It's what you want to do. Nimrod chose. Many others chose to be against God, to follow the polytheistic culture, to follow a symbol kind of lifestyle of cheating people, of lies, of infidelities. I'm talking crime. Yeah, you think our crime rates are up now? Like back in those and everything, it was nothing because that was the culture. You hear about these armies that go and completely destroy other areas, enslave people and everything just to show power. And that's part of it. And God sits back and says, you know what, I'm going to let them just do what they want to do and everything. But then it gets to a point, because he never just sits back and let it all fall over. He'll try. And we've seen this over and over again. I mean, shoot, we saw it in Noah's time. We see it here in the time of Babylon. We see it again with Jonah and Nineveh, which, by the way, Nimrod's son, Asher, is the one that like created and was ruling, Nineveh for sure. Rehoboth, Kala, and Rezin too. But Nineveh is one of the most famous as the one that Jonah, hops out of the whale and walks up and is like, yo, y'all in some serious trouble because of how you living. This is what's going to happen if you don't like clean yourselves up and stop doing and like work with it and everything. Like follow God, bro, because you in some trouble. And then we see it happen again and again in Chronicles, in Kings. Isaiah's even talking. Jeremiah trying to warn people. God keeps sending prophets. He keeps sending messages. He keeps sending warnings. But again, it's people's choice if they want to listen or not. Well, to say the least, at the Tower of Babylon, they didn't listen. I think that's really what plays into, we call someone a Nimrod, them being a fool, because this fool didn't listen. And he's a leader. People follow him. Do they follow with the sinful? They follow with the polytheistic. They follow with the being against God. And one day God says, all right, I've had enough. He's talking to the angels like, yo, this is enough. This is too much and everything. And the Tower of Babel story is that there's a confusion suddenly. It went from a single understood universal language to many languages, to people not understanding each other. Now, here's what's really cool about this. Go into histology, look at archaeology and everything. There are documentaries on Netflix, bro. So you can't sit there and tell me, I don't want to read, I don't like studying. You can sit and watch some TV with it, okay? But it confirms a relativing location. It confirms the tower. And there's also confirmation of after a point in everything, when the tower fell, that many different languages began to appear across the different kingdoms and stuff. Things began to get mixed up. Now, can we 100% confirm or deny? No. But the scientific evidence that we do have really leans toward the confirm on it. And what cannot be explained, point blank, that's a power beyond our understanding, because that's a mind and that's ability beyond our understanding. That's God, just in case you were unsure. So that's where it was born from it. Nimrod, fool who rebels against God. Fool who focuses on their own kingdom, not God's kingdom. Fool who builds on materialistic things of the world, when all this is temporary, man. It can all be destroyed, lost like that. And I know that 100%. But Christ, God, Holy Spirit, that 3 in 1, that's that firm foundation that is going to last forever. That's that one where there is going to always be that understanding. And as long as you follow that Godhead, you live as Christ, you make the choice to live like him, you'll understand more. You'll learn more. You'll know more. And just maybe make a bigger difference than you can ever imagine. because of that knowledge.